You're listening to GotTechED the Podcast with your hosts, Eric Geis and Nick Johnson. Welcome back to GotTechED the Podcast. This is episode 53 called Real World Opportunities for Your Students. In this episode, we'll define real world experiences and global education as we discuss the pros and cons of this exciting and timely teaching approach. In our second segment, we'll give you some specific next steps and project ideas for how to incorporate globalized real world experiences into your classroom. Check it out.
All right, so we're back with episode number 53. A lot of awesome, cool, fun, new things for GotTech happen over the last week. Last week was a first for us. It was a first EduMentor episode with Charity Dodge. She's amazing. And then it was also our first Twitter chat, which we went by the hashtag EduMentor, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought it went really well. I wasn't super big into Twitter chats before this. I know Geis is a little more into it than me, but now running our own and seeing how many people came out, even for our very first one, it was a really cool experience, and we're excited to keep that going. So this is every Wednesday night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can check out Twitter at the hashtag EduMentor, EduMentor. Sometimes we'll have a guest, sometimes it'll just be me and Geis hosting and posing some questions that everybody can respond to, and get some feedback on ideas or some inspiration, or just share something you've been looking to share online. It's quick. Everything's kind of rapid fire. I think that's what I liked about it as sort of a newcomer to the whole experience. So the whole thing only was like half an hour, right?
Yep, it was 30 minutes, and it does come and go pretty quick, but when you go back and reread all the posts and everything, it just shows you how many people out there have unique ideas that people can learn from, and it's really just the power of the PLN.
Yeah, and so definitely check it out. I think it's going to be a cool experience for people that tune in and become part of this chat. And also, if you would like to know the questions ahead of time, obviously we post questions on Twitter as you go, but if you want to prepare and think about some of your responses, you can go to our website, GotTechED.com/EduMentor, where we have a page dedicated to this Twitter chat with the questions posted ahead of time to help you sort of figure out exactly how you'll be interacting. So that's there for people also.
Another thing that is new with GotTech is we started a news flash. I mean, this actually started as join the GotTech team. We didn't really like that. You know, if you're listening, we appreciate the listeners. We appreciate the support and everything. And we are a team, but we felt like just sending something out once a month wasn't the team effort that we're looking for. And that's really why we started the EduMentor Twitter chat. But you can get into the know. That's what we're saying. You can get in the know with the GotTech news flash. Really, all that is what we have going on for that month. We'll talk about the EduMentors for that month. We'll talk about any news updates, where we'll be for professional development, and we'll also give away free templates. Every once in a while, Nick and I sit down and we get creative and we make a digital game board using Google Slides or something like that we'll share out with you. So go over to gottech.com/newsflash, sign up for that news flash. It comes out during the first week of every month. We do not spam you. It's a one time every month deal here. And if we feel like we need to send out something more often, we'll also let you know, so you can look for them in your mailbox.
Yep.
And best yet, it's in video form. Most often we make a YouTube video and we kind of give you the heads up of what's going on. So you could just listen to them in your car, or you can watch us, and usually we make weird faces and we get a little goofy, but that's okay.
All right, so let's get into the actual topic for this episode 53 of GotTech the Podcast. It's one that I'm excited to talk about. I know I'm always excited to talk about the things we bring to the table here. That's why we bring them up, but this one is extra unique, and I don't think we've definitely never touched on it before, maybe sort of in a back channel sort of way, but for sure haven't devoted any kind of full episode to this Podcast. The topic, as I understand it, is called Real World Opportunities for your students, kind of also closely related to what some teachers might think of as like a global learning experience. So we're going to talk about that and some of the Edtech activities that you might be able to use along with this.
So I just want to add on to this. Real world opportunities and experiences really covers a lot. That's distance learning, that's bringing guests, really you could say that it's kind of STEM too, because if you're problem solving, if you're bringing in ways to solve problems, it's a STEM opportunity as well. So this is a very big topic, but we're going to break it down into small pieces, and hopefully you can find something that you could use in your classroom.
Yeah, so just some examples in case guys gave you some specific things there, but this can be as simple as if you're an elementary school teacher, maybe finding a book that you can read to your students about a crisis that has taken place. I know there's one about the earthquake situation that happened in Haiti a few years back. So you can read them this, pose the problem, and then, like I said, sort of focus on that problem-solving aspect and what we here in the United States or whatever country you happen to be in, what you might be able to do to help the people in these other countries around the world. So that's the global part of it. And of course, it's very real because these are things that actually have happened and are happening. This can be finding news articles online to look for statistics about different events that are taking place. Maybe like a refugee crisis in Europe, let's say, and you want to keep track of or see exactly how many people are trying to flee their countries, and then again come up with solutions and ways to maybe deal with this problem. For me, as a science person, right now we're dealing with the potential spread of the coronavirus, so maybe I have my students do some research on what that is, how it's spread, gather some statistics, and maybe create some kind of a visual that they can then share with people as like an informational, here's how to stay safe, here's what you need to know, and put it out there online somewhere. So lots of global connections, lots of real world experiences for your students to really get involved with. And I think there's a ton of pros and cons to this. Obviously, for me, student engagement is probably like the biggest one, because it's when things seem real to your students, it just has so much more meaning to them because they know that what they're learning about and the content they're getting is connected to something that's actually out there. So that's kind of my favorite part about the whole thing.
Yeah, you made a lot of good points there. It's funny that you made the reference to the coronavirus, because that was what I was going to bring up, but you did it in a totally different way.
Oh, cool.
So what I would do is bring that up, and there are some students that are legitimately scared out there, thinking that this is going to be something that takes over the world. But you can easily have students research and collect data on past health concerns, whether it's the bird flu, whether it's the swine flu, whatever it may be, and then have them kind of do the research and how we took care of the problem, how it subsided, how it went away, because that's doing a couple things. It's showing through the research, hopefully they figure out how that this problem was taken care of, but then maybe they can make some connections as to maybe what health officials and scientists and things like that can go in and, maybe solve a problem. So they're not actually solving the problem, but they're coming up with some type of hypothesis or a way of tackling this problem to come up with a solution.
Yeah, exactly. You're not actually going to solve any of these big giant issues in the moment, but the important part is you're getting students to think in that global sense. You're getting them to at least become aware of these things and sort of let them know that they can find solutions. And one day they may be in a position where that is their job and that's their career. It's one of the other pros to this that I wanted to mention is, one of the best ways you can prepare students today for the world of the future that is changing so fast is to engage them in this type of activity where, of course, they're learning content and skills with you as they do this research, but more importantly, they're thinking about that problem-solving aspect. They're thinking about what can I do? What are ways that you work through the problem-solving process? So just career readiness for a super fast-paced, changing world. You can't beat this type of real-world experience.
Yeah, on top of that, you nailed most of the main ones where engagement, career readiness, developing these skills, but you have team skills, team collaboration. That's a huge thing. The biggest thing when I talk to employers nowadays, they don't want the 4.0 student. They don't want the 1.0 student. They want somebody that is, in the middle, well-rounded, and has the ability to work with others and think outside of the box. They don't want cookie cutter. They want problem solvers. So we need to be able to give them these types of skills. And with a lot of our schools going one-to-one, this opportunity is right at the tips of our fingers. We have the tool. We just need to put the tool in play. We need to work on our craft a little bit and give our students more of these opportunities. So lots of pros there. Now the cons, there are a couple. First of all, if you're not a one-to-one school and that's a resource problem, that is one way of saying that there's a con, but flip it. Most classrooms or most schools have computer labs, or they can access a Chromebook cart or some type of a laptop cart. Put them in small groups. Do a station rotation. You do not need technology for every bit and every piece of what's going on in the classroom for a real world opportunity to be placed in front of your students.
Another downside, I don't know if this is really a downside. To me, there's more of a positive spin to it than anything. But if you're going to develop this kind of a project for your class, you really got to put some time. You got to put in some work to sort of coming up with exactly what are all the students going to be doing. Make sure there is a purpose behind it. Make sure that they will be learning something in the process. And make sure that they're going to be assessed fairly, but also you have to challenge them, just like with any sort of project-based or problem-based learning experience. It's all about that work up front. It's something that we always mention, but you got to really consider what is that final project going to be? What are the key aspects of it that you want to really challenge them to develop, and that you want to see come out of this whole thing, so that they know from the beginning what they need to sort of build on and grow on, so that upfront work can be a turnoff. But just like with anything else, put in that time. You got a really powerful thing.
Yeah, time is a big barrier in education, and it just depends on how you look at it. I'm going to tell you a story real quick, and when I think of my earlier education when I was in maybe middle school, it might have been, I don't know, 5th, 6th grade. I don't really know. When did we start learning or memorizing capitals of Europe or Asia?
Pretty right straight away, right?
All right, so if you looked at a map, tell me how many capitals of those places that you can come up with.
It's a big zero.
Because it's memorization. However, I could tell you a lot of information on a city. Yungtai City, Yungtai. All right. It's a city that I did a lot of research on, and I did a project on, and I picked the name just because of how it rolled off the tongue. Yungtai City, Yungtai. All right. So I remember a lot more about that city because I was engaged in that learning process. It was active. I got to choose. Something I picked. I wanted to learn more about it. I got to learn about the culture. I got to learn about the types of food there. And the list just goes on. But I remember that. I don't remember the, capital of any place in the world, really. I remember I did well on that quiz or the test, but I don't remember anything concrete there. So these opportunities, yeah, it might take a little bit more time, but kids are going to take a lot more away from it than, memorization in these quick grab and go worksheet type, experiences that we provide them.
Mine was in 6th grade. We had this big project. I don't know if your school did it this way, but in 6th grade, we learned it was like there's some kind of social studies or maybe like a language arts unit on medieval stuff like castles and kings and knights and whatever else. And it was one of the biggest projects of like the whole school. So the whole time you're in elementary school, everybody looks forward to this one project where you get to build a castle, a medieval castle of your own choosing. But there's requirements, like it has to match in some way an existing medieval castle, and you got to explain the different, time period elements and how it was built and if it's still standing and why it's not still standing. And this is not a super real world experience thing, but I think it kind of speaks to your point that we all know that those things are the things you remember from school. And if you were able to do that type of project tied in with some type of global real world connection, I think it's all that more powerful. So definitely great stuff here. Stick around for our next segment where we'll take a look at some next steps that you can take if you're interested in cultivating this type of project in your classroom. You can follow GotTechED outside the podcast at GotTech.com or on Twitter at WeGotTechED.
So I don't really know why we called these next steps. It's not like we're going to give you a list of things that you have to do to bring these classes or these types of experiences into your classrooms. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of go over different variations of ways that you can bring these real world opportunities into your classrooms for your students and just begin the engagement right now. So I'll start with the first one. And this is one of the ones that our district is so fortunate to have. And we have a parent group that actually started curating a list of community experts that would be willing to come into the classroom. So they went out to the public, local pharmaceutical companies. They got some scientists, some lab specialists, even some department heads and some of the higher ups within that company. And they got them to basically say, yeah, we'd be willing to come into your school and talk about whatever you want, whatever the teachers need. We have another person that comes in. He was a very good track athlete. He comes back every now and again, and I know that he's working towards the next Olympics. We have doctors that come in. We have businessmen and businesswomen. We have entrepreneurs. We have all these people that we have at our fingertips in a program that the parents called Help Well. So we're from Hopewell, and they want to help us teachers and us to get students these types of experiences. So they called it Helpwell, and it's an amazing program. So basically all that happens is they curate this list of community experts, and then the teachers look at the list and they kind of say, yeah, I could really use a pharmaceutical lab technician for my biochemistry class or my chemistry class or whatever it is. Or maybe it's a park ranger for an ecology class. So Helpwell, what they do is they look at your needs and they try to vet their list and see which one would, be the best fit for you. And then they get you in touch with each other. You schedule a time for that person to come in. They come in, they talk to your class. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. I have a couple speakers come into my classrooms from Helpwell throughout the year, and they're just awesome. It just opens up the kids' eyes so much to things beyond just that day-to-day content. They get to see a real person actually applying that, sort of bringing in the money and projects and planning, and the fact that just how the real world functions is so cool. If you don't have a community organization like this, and you feel like it's something you want to start, all it takes is an email. A lot of big companies, they have already set up outreach programs where they've sort of identified certain employees of their own that are good at doing this, that agree to go speak in schools. So a lot of the structure there is already set up. It's just a matter of, somebody from a school building reaching out and opening that line of communication. So like I said, if you're interested in this, just try and identify some of the biggest companies in your area as a starting point. Reach out to them, phone call, email. They'll connect you with whoever they need to in terms of who they have identified already that can do this. And if they don't have it, you never know. Maybe this is the catalyst that will help to start that up. So the community list of experts is a really cool way to kick things off and get some connections going that your students can use.
So I guess the next one that I want to bring in is something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm very excited that we're going to have the opportunity to do this with one of the new rooms in our school due to the new renovation, and that's more of a conference call setting. Now, there are tons of ways that you could use a conference room. And first of all, let me say, you don't need a conference room to do this. You could just do this on any type of laptop that has a webcam and some type of microphone, whether it's the built-in one or a different one. You could use it there as well. There are several different examples of this, such as Skype a Scientist. I've heard a lot of great things about that. I know that there's a graduate student in Antarctica that will Skype a scientist. I've heard some people say that they had that privilege to talk with the student in Antarctica. You could Zoom a friend, and we've done this in the past at our school. We have a teacher that knows an author in New York and another author in California, and what we did is we had that English class come in and sit down and ask questions to both of these authors. And it was really fantastic. I think it makes the book come alive that the author has written, and that really helps on student buy-in. But the messages behind the books and the questions that they asked, I think that's what they're really going to take away, are the answers to those questions. Another one that's popular, and this is a lot more for the younger grades in middle school, but I could really see this working for any age level, is Mystery Skype. And the idea behind Mystery Skype is two teachers connect over Skype, and the classes take turns asking each other questions. And based on those answers, what they're trying to do is to guess where that other classroom is from, state, location, those types of things. So that's another cool one. Another one that they started doing with my son's preschool is parent readers and work experiences. What I mean by that is on parents' lunch break, what they'll do is they'll call into the preschool, or whenever they can. It doesn't need to be at lunch. They'll set up a time. They'll call into the preschool and they'll read a book, and they'll do it straight from their computer, and they'll read a book, and the kids are super into it. The other thing is bring your mom or dad to work day, to school day, to talk about work. That's another one. They can just conference call in, and sometimes that's better for the parent. Sometimes it's new and exciting for the student. I would definitely, if it was me, I'd choose to go see the kids in the preschool, but this is a different way to kind of switch it up. And then the last one is the foreign language, foreign experience opportunities. At our school, our foreign language department does a nice job running trips that rotate every couple of years. So they'll do a 2-week exchange with a school from France, or a school from Germany, or a school from Spain. And then they'll go over to Spain for 2 weeks. The students from Spain will come over to our school for 2 weeks. What would be cool about this is you would be able to get to know them a little bit earlier before you just go over there. You would be able to see them face to face, maybe talk with them. You could have some smaller breakout Skypes or Zoom conferences so they can start meeting people before they go over there.
Or then keep those relationships going after the trip is over with, right? And you can sort of stay in contact and maybe even somehow tie that into your curriculum. I was going to say, as kind of a good segue, as powerful as that, that trip abroad can be, there's a lot of times in a lot of places where you can't do that, right? And it'd be great if you could take your students somewhere, maybe some kind of a temple in Indonesia, but obviously you can't do that money-wise and time-wise, and there's already so many of these trips, that kids are doing, and you can't always just be another one added to the pile. So there's lots of ways you can do virtual field trips. One that we've talked about before is Google Arts and Culture. It's tough to define Google Arts and Culture other than just that, a virtual field trip. It lets you view historical places. It lets you view artwork from museums across the globe. I'm on the main page right now. Just a couple of the things they have trending are discovering the Prambanan Temple in Indonesia. You can actually click on it, and it gives you like sort of that street view almost that you use on Google Maps, but you can sort of move around inside this temple and at least get some sense of what it's like there. Obviously, this is no replacement for actually visiting, but in the absence of being able to do that, this is pretty powerful. The other one is exploring Van Gogh's bedroom, so clicking on the painting and really getting up close, probably even closer than you could get if you were actually looking at this painting in real life. Again, not a replacement, but if it's your only choice, a virtual field trip like this could be pretty powerful as a way to connect to maybe some other part of a project that students are doing in your class. So I like Google Arts and Culture a lot.
Yeah, I was actually walking down towards our band room, and this was during passing time, and I saw a student sitting down on her Chromebook, and it looked like a stage, and she was sitting there and toggling the picture back and forth. It was like a 360 picture. And really, she was on a famous stage, and she was listening to various composers that basically played on that stage. And I thought that was amazing. That was also part of Google Arts and Culture. So let's talk about one that is really near and dear to my heart. And that's really taking the students away from the school, going outside and getting those real world experiences. My first 3 years, I did something called Earthwatch, and this is a nonprofit, I believe it's a nonprofit, but what they do is they get teachers and people from all around the world. It could be other professions too, but a lot of them are teachers, and they put them in these little projects where you might do some type of research study or collect data or help build something in a different country or protect the turtles, things like that. And my first Earthwatch was on Isle Royale in Lake Superior, in the middle of Lake Superior. So if you look at the little island in the middle of Lake Superior, it's right on the K on most maps, called Isle Royale. And it hosts the largest predator-prey study in the world, longest running predator-prey study. And the predator there is the wolf, and the prey there is the moose. It was a fantastic experience for me. One thing, as a teacher, I didn't want to be the teacher that taught from the book. I wanted to teach through real life experience, so I needed to have these experiences. And so I went there the first time, and I met 4 random people that were in my group and our group leader, and we went out and we looked for moose bones. And then once we found moose bones, we studied how it died. If it had encasings, like maggot encasings and stuff like that, I know it's gross, but we'll get over it. Then we knew that it probably starved, because when the moose population got too high, there wouldn't be enough food on the island. However, if you saw bones that were chipped away, gnawed away, anything like that, you knew that it was probably preyed on by a predator, which is the wolf. Also, looking at the bones, you could see whether it had some type of disease, or if it was a healthy moose. That's harder for the wolves to bring down. Usually they go for the ones that are, a little bit of health issues going on, osteoporosis, things like that. But anyway, fantastic experience, and I taught a lot of my lessons through this experience. I brought in things on photosynthesis. I brought in things on predator prey. I brought in things on communal relationships, things like that. 2 years later, I was like, I really like that. And I want my students to experience that. So I took 4 students with me. And to this day, all 4 students, every time I see them, they go, it's still the best experience of my education career ever. So this is a way to get them involved in this outside experience and actually take them there. I had to share it because this impacted my life and my education career so much as a teacher, and as those students keep coming back to me, and every time we see each other, we tell a new story that we have this new story, but really it's a flash from the past that we talk about. And it was such a valuable thing to do with students. So I would challenge you to do those. Not all of them are as hands-on as that one. There are other ways to get out there. So if hiking through the backwoods of an island is not your forte, you could pick something else. There are a couple other groups out there. Global Volunteers is another one. A lot of the same with Earthwatch and Global Volunteers, just a slightly different focus on more of a humanitarian piece rather than the ecology and predator-prey relationship piece.
Yeah, and that's, like you said, those things sound awesome to me. Amazing to get outside and be part of this in the field kind of global research, but that's not everybody's thing. And if it's not, there's lots of ways that you can be part of research without actually going anywhere. One of my favorite ones that I've been aware of for a while, and sometimes these are called global knowledge networks, but all that really means is ways for you and your students to be part of the actual gathering of data, basically through a website where you sign up and essentially become a researcher yourself. So one of the most popular ones is called Globe, Globe, or the Globe program. Globe it's a sponsored thing where you can sign up and you get to actually enter. A lot of it's like weather data, things you're seeing in your area, like precipitation and cloud cover. And they use people from all over the globe who are doing this. A lot of it's students that are doing it as part of their class, but again, you're actually becoming part of the research. You're not only entering the data yourself, but then you get access to that data so you can learn about climate change and different trends and patterns, and it's sort of all wrapped up in this nice shell. So there's other ways to be part of research like that. Some other programs similar to Globe, if you want to check some different options out, are SEED, SEED, ePals, lowercase e, capital PALS, or iEarn. I'm not going to go through each one of those things. I'll just kind of throw it out there and let you guys check them out if you want. But these are really great ways to be part of that in the field research also. And I think what probably we'll wrap it up with is mentioning here one of our favorite things, of course, playing games, gamification, game-based learning. There's lots of ways you can tie that in with this real world experience, this global learning as well. A lot of the educational games are built off this idea of sort of this global experience. And I found one website which sort of houses most of these. So I figured I'd throw that out there to everybody. It's called Games for Change. You can find it at gamesforchange.org. This was started in 2004, and it's really just there to facilitate the creation and the sharing of these games that are sort of all focused on social impact around the world. So humanitarian efforts, always educational. Just some of the games that they have there. There's one called Tree that talks about the development and growth of trees. Third World Farmer, Closed World, 80 Days, Mayo Beats are just some of the names to give you a sense of what they have. Really, really cool that there exists this bank, this resource of games that are specifically tied to global learning. So not only are your students getting the effect of learning about the world and this real life experience, but they're also getting to play a game in the meantime. So that's really, really cool opportunity.
Last and not least, we did talk a lot about Twitter and PLN at the top of the episode. So just to continue that trend a little bit, you can follow these popular Twitter chats. These are the hashtags to these Twitter chats. Global Ed, hashtag Global Learning, and hashtag Global Ed Chat. These are three that we have visited. We liked what we saw, so we thought we'd bring those out. You can go take a look for those on Twitter, grow your PLN that way.
All right, so there you go, guys. Some good next steps on how to bring global education, global learning, and real life experiences into your classroom. Hopefully you found something that can work for you to get the process started.
Hey everybody, just wanted to quickly announce who our next Edu Mentor is going to be, and this will be episode 54, and that's going to be Bruce Riker. Bruce is a fantastic guy that we have met through the Twitterverse and also through some conferences here in New Jersey. He's going to come on and talk to us about digital creation tools and multimedia use in the classroom. So we're super excited for Bruce Riker to come in for this episode. He is also going to host the Twitter chat that follows that episode, so we're pumped about that, and we can't wait to learn and expand this PLN on Twitter. You can reach us there for that Twitter chat at hashtag EduMentor. You can reach Nick at NickGotTechEd, me at GotTechEd, or the podcast at We Got Teched. Please reach out to us on Twitter if you have any interest in becoming an Edu Mentor. You could just direct message one of us and we will get back to you. All that we would need from you is what you feel would be a good topic for an Edu Mentor segment or an Edu Mentor chat. So we're looking forward to growing our PLN, learning from each and every one of you, and pushing our PLN to the best place that we possibly can, and helping each other change practices for our students tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to GotTech the Podcast. Remember to subscribe to our show and follow us at We Got Tech on Twitter so you can stay up to date with the latest episode releases, blog posts, product reviews, and PD announcements. You can also follow Geis and I individually at Geis Got Tech and at Nick Got Tech on Twitter or on Instagram at Nick Got Tech. Finally, remember to check out our website, GotTechED.com, where we post all our episodes, articles, and resources available to you for free. Until next time.